This is Kent Ward, the guy who runs Ongaku Overdrive, the music show that's music inspired about anime, video games, sci-fi, fantasy, cosplay. We'll be back spring 2014. It's going to be very exciting stuff. But before that, we're going to do a few shows to hype up that event. And the first on the agenda is a show we're hosting September 15th at BIKKURI Lounge in downtown Orlando, Florida. It is called Mega Man Powered Up. It's going to be a really awesome event. We have great performers like Open Mike Eagle, Shammers, Midas the Beast, and the person we have on the line today, the teacher turned rapper who is sometimes a hero, the legendary Random, aka Megaran. How you doing today?
I'm very good, Kent. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we like you. Orlando loves you. We definitely want to promote that you have this show come up and what you've been doing because you've been very busy. But for those of us, or for those of the listeners who haven't heard of you yet or may not be that familiar with nerdy music, you want to introduce yourself and what you're all about?
Yeah. I'm a former teacher, turned full-time musician who loves hip-hop and draws a lot of inspiration from video games, just generally nerdy subject matter and topics. I combine that with, I'd like to think, the impromptu, spontaneous nature of jazz or stand-up comedy, and I try to put all those things together and into one really cool package of hip-hop. And that's really me in a nutshell, and I think it's something that most people, when they see it, they wind up enjoying it and not even necessarily knowing what they're going to get into, but afterwards becoming really big fans of not just what I do, but of hip-hop in general. So it's just me showing you that hip-hop can be fun and just different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, one of the things I think really sets you apart from not only just hip-hop artists, but like, musicians that are part of the nerd music culture is that you tell a lot of stories in your songs, not only about the games that you rap about, but also from personal experiences growing up as someone that was different, that did not have that appreciation because you just stood out in some way, and you have some really great video game beats that you draw inspiration from, but you have a lot of music that's very relatable to a lot of people that normal hip-hop or traditional hip-hop would not reach out to.
Yes, I tried to, because that was me. I was the different kid who was just looking for an outlet, and finally, now that we're all adults, it's I'm just got to a point where I was comfortable enough to share a lot of my stories and my upbringing and put it into music, and a lot of people, fortunately, can relate to it.
Yeah, definitely. So, I don't know, just to ask Adam Noor, there's a lot of games coming out. The holiday season's about to hit up. What games are you playing right now?
Oh, man, I'm still playing The Last of Us. I really enjoyed the game. But with me touring so much this year, I haven't had time, as much as I'd like anyway, to jump into games. But, so then I got a 3DS, so now I can play on the road. And I can't stop playing Animal Crossing New Leaf. So those are the two games now that I'm hooked on.
Right on, man. That's awesome. So you've been all around the world this year. I think we tried contacting you to perform at Ongaku Overdrive, and the same day we did that show, you happened to be performing in London, and then you just did a tour out in Japan, which you had a big Kickstarter for. So you had a very busy year so far.
Oh, definitely. This has been pretty much my busiest year as a full-time entertainer. We started off in DC at MagFest, and that was my first time playing that. And since then, it's just been a big snowball that's just been getting bigger and bigger. We went to the UK, we went to Japan. Coming up, we're going to be playing PAX on the main stage. Like, I'm just really excited. This has been a great, great year.
Yeah, I remember, like, back in March, you came down with Lewis Logic for the Now You're All Gonna Pay tour. And I believe for that tour, you worked, for those 30 days, you worked at least 20 of those dates just on the road.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We did almost a month straight on tour with Lewis Logic, And wow, it's hard to believe that was just 5 months ago. It's been such a blur of a year, and it's been great. And I just feel like if you're not making moves, then you're standing still. So I always want to continue to make moves and to progress, and this year has been great so far for that.
So what was it like being in the UK and Japan versus being in the United States as far as putting on shows?
I don't change my show too much, but the reaction out there was just, I mean, I think I get great reactions here, but it was almost a night and day difference of the level of excitedness about seeing hip hop and about seeing American performers. They get so excited because they know that this doesn't happen every day. So I can remember the show in London being so loud that I felt like the roof was going to blow off. We were in a basement type setting, and there was a restaurant above us, but yet there was so much noise that the people in the restaurant said that they heard the entire concert, like, and all the crowd, just like they were there. So that, and then Japan is the same thing, just the level of enthusiasm that I had seen. These people would clap and yell back words and things throughout the entire show. I mean, I had to think to myself, these guys have to be tired. They sat there clapping for an hour, just clapping along to every beat and moving around for every song. And the enthusiasm was definitely the biggest difference to me. And it's really touching that, everybody dreams of taking their music to another place, or taking their art to another place. But to see that, to see the reactions by people, it blew me away. It was times on stage where I had to stop and regain my own composure just because of the level of excitedness I saw. So yeah, it was great.
All right, now you started out as a traditional hip-hop performer, with The Call being your first album release, but like shortly after you switched things up, drawing inspiration from video game music and rapping about video games, hence the name Mega Man. So how'd that all come about?
Well, when I finished that album, The Call, in 2006, it was just a huge achievement to me. It was my first time releasing a full album. I had been recording for maybe 10, 12 years before that, but I'd never put together a full-length album. And so once it came out, it was like achievement unlocked. I was so excited, and the album got a good amount of press and things. And but the subject matter on it, to me, was very dark. It was very spiritual and almost overwhelming to me to have to put out that much of myself. So I took a break from music and just kind of went back to try to find a little piece of myself that wasn't so dark and serious. So I wound up playing video games, reading comic books, drawing, and doing a lot of things that I'd done in my youth that since college I hadn't really had time for. So I went back to vintage games, and some of them brought back great memories, Mega Man included. And so one day I was listening to the Woodman stage, and I just thought, wow, you know what? I'm thinking of lyrics to this. Like, lyrics were coming to my head to go along with the Woodman theme. So I put it into my Reason on my PC, chopped it up a little bit, added some hard drums, and wrote a song to it called Grow Up. And that's when I got the idea to make an entire Mega Man album. And, I was a little worried. I thought that this would either kill my career or be something that was just so risky that no one would ever listen to. But I wanted to do it for myself, and I think that's when the best art and music comes about, is when you do it for yourself. So, as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, because from that point on, a company called Capcom, the makers of Mega Man, they found out about what you were doing, and I heard you got nervous about that, but things actually ended up being pretty good in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. They were very cool about it, and I was pretty afraid, but they found me on MySpace and told me that they had been listening to my music in their office. They'd been playing it for everyone, and they really enjoyed it, and that Comic-Con was coming up, and they wanted me to come out to Comic-Con and hang out. And I immediately thought this was some kind of setup or trap, but yet they were cool, and since then we've had a great relationship. A lot of those guys don't even work at the company anymore, but they're still huge supporters and fans of mine. So I will always be thankful to Capcom for reaching out when they could have just, shut little old me down.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, because I think a lot of companies would like turn against that idea, but what you're doing and what other artists are doing is actually pretty good for that type of product because it's brand recognition. Like if you're rapping about Mega Man or any of these other games like Castlevania or Final Fantasy, that keeps those franchises in the minds of the people that are listening to your music. So when they come up with new releases, like, hey, oh yeah, the new Mega Man game's coming out, I need to get on that. I feel like what you do actually in that regard helps the companies out in keeping the brand relevant and fresh.
I would like to think that as well. I've had many people come up to me like, man, I would have never played Final Fantasy VII until I heard your rap about it, or I recently went and bought all the Mega Man games and things like that. So it keeps the names of these games and it keeps the franchises alive in our minds and hearts. And that's really all I wanted to do, was just give an homage to games that helped to shape me as a kid. So, from the Mega Mans to Final Fantasy to all the games we did on Forever Famicom, up to Castlevania, it's just me paying tribute to the games that helped me get through, my tough times in life.
And Forever Famicom, I think that's like your best. I mean, it's one of your best releases. But whenever I try to get someone into what you do, I usually introduce them to that album because it covers a wide range of games. But the stories they tell in a lot of the songs, especially Dream Master, I think hits people pretty hard. Like as far as being able to relate to them, I think that helps get people interested in the kind of music you do. Like if someone listens to Dream Master and they don't become a fan of your music, then I don't know what's wrong with them.
Thank you. Yeah, Dream Master is the one song that gets a lot of people. I've had people tell me, man, this song, brought tears to my eyes. Like that was me you're talking about. And I'm like, no, that was me, And so it's really cool that people are able to relate to that. And it was a tough song to write. I remember, ironically, it's the only song on Forever Famicom that myself and K Murdoch recorded in the same place. We recorded most of the stuff over the internet and traded files, but that was the one that we were in the same room for. And it was very emotional to write that. And it's one thing I immediately thought was like, there's no way I can ever perform this in front of a group of people. Like, no way, but now, it's one of my favorite songs to perform. So it shows a lot. It's a huge testament to the growth of myself as an artist and as a person. And I felt like this is a story that needed to be told. And because there are so many people who have that same exact story but aren't comfortable sharing it. So that's what I'm there for.
Yeah, and I think you put out a song earlier this year when you did the Time and Space EP that I think captures that same level of emotion. It's Now You Know, which tells the story of how geek culture has risen to be mainstream, and a lot of people have embraced that. But you kind of tell the story of a lot of us were geeks before it was cool and we were persecuted for that, and you kind of tell a story from that standpoint.
It's one of my favorite tracks to come off the Time and Space project. I still perform that a lot to this day. So it was something I felt very strongly about, just in the midst of my travels, just going around to places, and we'd stop in like a department store and just walk past a bunch of Transformers shirts or a bunch of Alf shirts or just things from the 80s that were pretty cool or that would be considered pretty nerdy, that when people at that very time spoke highly of those things, they were teased and made fun of for those things. So I feel like, I don't know if it's even right, because I've had a bit of an argument about it, but I like a little controversy, so it's okay. But that's just the way I felt. I just feel like when you're into something, before it gets super mainstream, you almost get overlooked and lumped into the group of the rest of the people who are just into it because of what's happening now. And Adam Warrock, he wrote a really great blog about it, and he was talking about how it's so cool now. You could be in a job interview and talking about Avengers, and things like that, and that's okay, where that stuff was taboo at some point back in the past. So it's a new day, and it's a great new day, and I don't want to have anyone think that I'm not happy about the way things are, but I feel like I think people should know what it feels like so that they don't, perpetrate those stereotypes and that basically that bullying onto other people, so knowing what that's like most of our generation does, we should be able to be better people in the future and not hold people up to a high, ridiculous standard or make fun of people or bully people or hold people down just for what they're into.
So you put out a lot of music over this past year. You have an album based on Castlevania. The Time and Space EPs are pretty sweet. And then you had the River City Random album. But late last year, a big announcement was made. I think it was through Destructoid. And you announced it as well that you were going to be doing an album with Sega. You know, a bunch of Sega music was going to be a big part of your next release. And how are things going, if you're allowed to talk about that?
No, I can talk about it. I just don't have a whole lot to update with. A lot of people got excited about it, myself included. Sega was totally on board, and everything was super awesome. They made an announcement on their Facebook page and asked people to submit game choices for us to sample. And so we got a really great list out of that. But right now we're in a bit of a holding pattern just because we need to wait for the final approval from Sega. You know, it's almost like someone, you know, you got a prom date and the girl, you know, she says yes, and then she tells you she's on the way, and, you know, be ready, look for the limo outside. And right now I'm just standing at the window, just looking out, waiting for the limo, you know. So not saying we've been totally stood up, but I'm just still waiting, you know, and until I get that, till I see the limo pull up, you know, I can't go any further, you know. So I may be late to the prom, you know. So as far as our you know, anticipated release date, and we may be a little late, but I think it'll happen. But I understand there's a lot of legalese that has to go on to approve this stuff, and now I'm actually cognizant of that, you know, as opposed to the past where I would just do things and not worry about anyone, you know, finding out. But now, you know, we have a lot more at stake, so I do have to be aware of people's copyrights and things. And so they did tell me that a lot of those, you know, they have to go through a lot to get licensing for some of these games, because some of that stuff is so old that, you know, there might be contracts in place and there might not, so they have to go find out that stuff. So long story short, I believe it's going to happen, but I have no updates at this time. I'm just kind of waiting.
Right. Well, for the time being, fans can definitely listen to The Blue Bomber, which is the new EP that you got coming out. The first single just dropped. The Mega Man and Sonic comics have been pretty popular, and now there's a crossover series with those two. So you have an EP to kind of celebrate that.
Yes, the Blur Bomber EP with myself and Mr. Wilson will be coming soon. It was just more of a combination. A lot of people have been wanting to hear me do some more Mega Man stuff. I wasn't ready to do a full project of Mega Man yet, so this one is a perfect fit. You know, it's an EP. It's me as Mega Man rapping over some Sonic beats, and Wilson as Sonic rapping over some Mega Man beats, and then us rapping together over different types of beats. So I'm really excited to bring it out. We're going to have that out by the end of the year. Got probably 2 releases, I think, that'll definitely hit by the end of this year. That will be that and Forever Famicom DLC 3, which will be a short capper on the Forever Famicom series by myself and K Murdoch.
All right, I love the Forever Famicom DLC, especially the Final Fantasy track that you did, The Rulers Back. What can we expect from this DLC 3? Like, you have anything you want to hint at?
Yeah, I can let a little bit out of the bag. We have Bubble Bobble that we're doing. We have Street Fighter 2. I won't say whose stage that we're doing. We have some Ninja Gaiden and some Batman for the NES. So, and I think there's some other stuff, but those are the ones I can share.
That's awesome.
But, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's not enough raps about fighting games. Like I know Richie Branson did one. I heard King Phoenix did another one, but there's not a lot of nerdy music in regards to fighting games. I'm a big fighting game fan, so that's kind of disappointing. So I'm very excited to hear what you have coming up for that.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking to get some really great collaborations on that too. Again, I can't say. I'm just still waiting on them to get back to me. But yeah, it's gonna be a great fighting game type of track where it's really up tempo and a lot of beat ups going on in it.
Awesome. All right, so we got all your music out of the way, what you got coming up, and like you've been touring all over the place, and you're not done yet. You got at least one more big tour for this year, and you're actually in the middle of it right now.
Yes, the Deer Hunter tour of myself and Homeboy Sandman and Open Mike Eagle. We are heading into leg 2 of this tour, which will start in Los Angeles and end in Charlotte. So we go entirely southwest to the northwest. I don't know where we're going exactly. Southeast, rather.
Yeah.
So
southeast.
I'll be in the northwest doing PAX though, but that won't be a part of this tour. So yeah, we're going southeast, southwest to southeast. I think that these guys are arguably the two most exciting acts in hip hop today. Homeboy Sandman, just an incredible lyricist. Open Mike Eagle, just so smooth and soulful, great singer as well as rapper, awesome freestyler. We have so much fun on the tour. And a guy brought it to me, and he told me that it was exactly why he loved the tour so much in Minneapolis. And he said, "You guys are just so self-aware," and that hit me. It really stuck with me. And I think that is a great way to describe what we all do. We're very self-aware, and I think a lot of hip hop is not self-aware. It may be more self-absorbed and just completely unaware. But I think that most of our music just reflects on that self-awareness, and we're not afraid to talk about ourselves and the things that we do or don't do, or like and don't like, and the things that we want to do and want to accomplish. We're not afraid to talk about those things. So I feel like it's a perfect pairing for that reason. Plus, we're all ex-teachers, so we bring a little bit of education to the stage. And yeah, it's a great tour. I'll be out there with Open Mike Eagle as a bit of a side piece to the tour. And good news, bad news in that is that you won't get to see Homeboy Sandman, but you will get to see myself in a full headliner role rather than a support role, which means I'll be having more time to do more songs. So I'll be able to pull out some stuff from the Castlevania album, some stuff from the River City Random album, some stuff from the Time and Space EPs, and the Trap EP. So look forward to that. It's going to be amazing.
And that will be on Sunday, September 15th at BIKKURI Lounge at 1919 East Colonial Drive in downtown Orlando, Florida. I'm looking forward to Open Mike Eagle. I'm always looking forward to you, but Open Mike Eagle has just been named by LA Weekly as the top hip-hop indie act going today. So I'm very excited for that. Both him and Homeboy Sandman have some phenomenal music that you all should listen to. And you guys will be on the show with a couple of local acts that are doing some great things themselves. Midas the Beast just put out his first album just this past month, and Shammers will be coming out with a new album hopefully by the time the show takes place, called Palette de Plateau. So that's going to be a really great lineup, 4 exciting acts I think everyone should check out. You can get tickets at www.ongakuoverdrive.com. ONGAKU overdrive.com. We'll have information at the end of the video and also in our YouTube description, so just check that out. We'll have all of Mega Ran's tour stops as well, so if you happen to live in another part of the country, you get to see the remaining shows that he has coming up between now and the end of his tour, which will be in Charlotte. So where can people find you at, Mega Ran?
Easiest place would be megaran.com. But if you're into all these new social media things, there's I just recently started a Vine. I don't really know how to use it, but Mega Ran on Vine, Random Beats on Instagram, Mega Ran Music on Facebook, and yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere, even MySpace, I think. So
you're gonna bring that MySpace back?
I'm gonna try to. At least I was really interested in trying to do that, but I tried to navigate the site a few weeks ago and got completely lost. So I don't know. It's kind of, I feel like I'm too old for it now. So I think I may be ready to move on.
All right, fair enough. Well, we look forward to you coming down September 15th. We'll talk to you soon, but otherwise you take care, all right?
All right. Thank you so much, Kent.
No problem. Glad to have you on.
The blue bomber and the blur arrive. It's about time that the worlds collide. Out of all Capcom and Sega fam, it had to be Sonic and Mega Man. Sonic and Mega Man. If bad guys appear, no need to fear. The blur bomber's here. Blur bomber's here. If bad guys appear, no need to fear. The blur bomber's here. Somewhere in Monsteropolis, the ultimate team up is manifested, and there ain't no stopping this. They thought that we were opposites, rocking since the 80s, and no one could alter or doctor this. Consider it recompense for your loyalty. Oh my lord, it seems the game guys rewarded me. Me and Wilson, and we back in the nick of time, soon as it was.